Oh, good evening, people. Let's see if we got some sort of audio and see what the lag is.
There you go.
There you go. Mrs. W's got notification.
Audio, what the lag is what you said.
Yep, we've got audio. Well, good evening, all two of you out there. How you doing? I know Jen's listening while she's eating. Sorry if I sound a bit raucous tonight. Of whatever that bug was that Mrs. W caught, she passed it on to me. For the last 3 days, I've had one hell of a sore throat and breathing problems. Good evening, Marines.
You know I share everything with you.
Yeah, we share everything, including lurgies. No idea what one it was, but it seems to be on the ease a bit now.
COVID-25?
That don't help, but hey?
COVID-25?
COVID-25, yeah. Well, it's been quite an eventful week for the shit show, hasn't it? And I'll be totally honest, I haven't been keeping up a lot on it. I've been concentrating on myself. Actually went out and did a little bit of shopping today to get Mrs. W a birthday present, as it's her birthday today, St. George's Day. It's a happy St. George's Day to you all as well. But, good evening, Scar.
Thank you, Scar.
And would you believe, a few years ago, I still used to get the day wrong when her birthday was. I always used to think for some reason it was the 16th. But now it's easy to remember. It's St. George's Day.
It was St. George's Day back then.
Well, yeah, I know. It was the same back then, but... Well, did you know it shouldn't have been happening today, really? Good evening, Tony. Something to do with you shouldn't have a Saint's Day on another religious holiday or something like that, and being as it's still classed as Easter week, it should have been put off to the 28th or something, somebody said. But
no, crap.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before, but... Good evening, Moo, and happy St. George's Day to you too. And it's Comrade Starmer's backtracking on a lot now and trying to hide it. Good evening, Stitch.
Hi, Stitch.
Saying we must take our flag back. We've got to stop the evil people splitting it up and ripping it down the middle. Well, he's the one that's been fucking doing that. Him and the fucking police. So, total hypocrisy from that prick. And did you see the little bunting on the mantelpiece behind him? For Ramadan and all the other non-Christian festivals that he celebrated in number 10. The whole house was decorated out to suit such holidays, wasn't it? What do we get? Little bit of bunting with half a dozen St. George cross flags on it that looked like it came from a fucking market vendor. Just stuck to the mantelpiece. Shows how patriotic he is, doesn't it? And of course he blamed the far right. It's our fault. Good evening, little Stitch. I'm Resist if you're out there, buddy. Sorry if I'm sniffing a bit. It's part of that thing. It was like having a real heady cold and sore throat. If it does get too bad, I've got a Strepsil there. It's about all I can take. Everything else seems to mess around with all the meds I'm already on. But it seems, the peace talks, yeah. Russia, Ukraine, loads of other countries. Lamy called this fucking conference. And they don't want him there. Basically, Trump said, I don't know why he's coming because I got nothing to say to him. Ukraine said the same. And all the other countries are like, well, if Trump's not speaking to him, we're not speaking to him. So he's cried off. Apparently the conference is going ahead without him. What a prick. You know, of course Trump don't want to speak to him. He slagged him off too much in the past. And the same with Rachel from Accounts over there now, over in the States. Oh, I want to talk a trade deal. You're another one that slandered him, that slagged him off. So hopefully Trump will tell her the same as what we've been saying, as Trump has said before. Free speech, you get a trade deal. And I just hope he sticks to that, because that will embarrass her so fucking much. Although, you know, she'll probably come back and have some spin on it. You know, our special relationship that doesn't really exist. St. George and Father Xmas were both Turkish barbers. Nice one, Moo. Yeah, he is, Scott. I mean, how someone can stand there and lie and lie and lie. I think he actually believes his own lies. I really do. And I hope when he goes to the old Pope's funeral on Saturday that they shun him there as well. You know, Chubby Fingers ain't going. He's sending Will. In fairness, he's just come back from a tour over there, hasn't he? But you'd have thought, being as he's the head of the alleged... Good evening, Adrian. The head of the Christian church, you'd have thought he'd have been honour bound to turn up.
Not a problem, Moo. I won't hold it against you. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, he's just another treasonous traitor. You know, he made his speech about Islam and other religions, but there was no need for that. It's a Christian celebration, and that's all he should have been talking about. Yeah, as he's the head of the church. Hello, I had an alert come up then. What the hell was that? Something just popped up in the corner over there.
Sorry, I was sniggering at me.
I don't know what's going on.
Thank you, Adrian.
But yeah, you know, I heard Badenoch. Kimmy gave Starmer a bit of hard time in question times today. Again, I didn't bother watching it, to be honest. It's usually such a fucking pantomime. They know what's going to be said. It's so he knew that insult was coming of him having no balls. Two-tier must have a split personality. Well, one's an ass and one's a twat. Yeah. But, you know, what's the old saying? To be a good liar, you've got to have a good memory. And I personally don't think he's got one. He obviously hasn't got enough brain capacity to think for himself, so... But yeah, the lies just keep coming. I mean, people are saying now we're looking at higher tax again, another tax raid. Reeves is looking, according to some, of fucking around with the triple lock pensions again. So we can see that disappear. I've even heard a report, and I can't substantiate it. I've only seen a report on it, that she may raid the armed forces payout that they get when they leave or are injured, and the money that's to support their family if they're killed. Somebody said she's on about raiding that, which I wouldn't put it past her. You know, they'll probably put a bigger tax on it or something. But that is if that is true, that's just absolutely fucking disgusting. I mean, army personnel are leaving hand over fist now. All that's going to do is get more of them to leave. Same as the teachers. Some are saying, how are we going to fund this stupid idea about breakfast clubs? Well, some teachers are saying it can't be funded. Others are saying with the rate teachers are leaving, they ain't going to have enough people to monitor it and police it or whatever. And I mean, he thinks it's got the holy grail. It's going to save us millions having the kids in for breakfast early. No. What he's actually doing is making adults work longer hours because they can get rid of the kids so he can charge them more tax. And you can guarantee that there'll be some extra indoctrinations, lessons, in that extra time. You know, they can't be trusted. Yeah, exactly, Sky. It's as if them and old chubby fingers, they just hate the British people. You know, I mean, they're sending a task force, a carrier task force to the China Sea. So they'll be just off of China. And yet he wants to do trade deals with them. Well, that carrier task force, I think that's more to give Putin a poke rather than anything. Yeah, they were already saying that the retirement age got to 70, Scar. That's been bandied around for some time now. That's all they want. They want people working until they drop. Even people with disabilities, so they can take the tax dollar off them. That's what it's all about. That is socialism. We want everything you've got, but you've got to have a job so you can keep paying us to not have anything yourself. That is socialism. That's how it works. Well, that's what I see from it anyway.
Thank you, Jen. Yes, it was a quiet one, but hey.
Well, we were supposed to have had a mate turn up tonight. He was bringing a cycle round that he's got a few issues with for me to have a look at some point in the week or next weekend.
You may have found it's not rideable.
Because I can do that in here. I can put my bike stand up and I can sit on my chair and fiddle with it. It's only, I think it's the gear tuning it needs doing or something. But he said he was going to ride round and that was at 6 o'clock. So, and he's only 10 minutes around the corner. Good evening, Danny boy. Is this your first time in here? I haven't seen the name before. Or is it someone we already know using another name? Yeah, good evening to the lurkers in the background, by the way. Can't miss them out, can we? Oh. But yeah, going back to the school dinners, I mean, Starmer actually had the audacity to say, oh, we know how it helped our family. His family have never wanted for fuck all. Yeah, I mean, he keeps bringing up this from the past. You ever been to a food bank, Starmer? No, I very much doubt it. But I wouldn't put it past him to try and get free school dinners and shit like that. Well, you can't get them if you get more than £600 in benefit, and he probably gets more than that in a month in expenses, and that's a benefit. So, no, they'll have to fucking pay for it. But I can't place what he is. He's a clown. He really is. Lufo, good evening, matey. Release sausages. Oh, it is. It's getting to the point where it is a total shit show now. Nothing they're doing or intend to try and do is good for the country. Even the IMF told Reeves the other day, your economy is going to shit, basically. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Yeah. Yeah, Tony. Well, we got rid of the supervillain now, haven't we? Schwab. He's apparently stepped down, I believe, over some financial irregularities. Whether that's right or not, I don't know, but he announced it and went, and that was it, apparently. I didn't see any or see a speech myself, but there again, to be honest, as I said, I haven't been watching a lot. I've been more active on Facebook and X than YouTube. Because we can't use BitChute anymore. That's gone, isn't it? Same as Gab. Well, I never used Gab to start with anyway. The only other account I've got now is Rumble. And I very, very rarely have used that. That was more to get on the Rev's lives when he was having hassle with YouTube. Danny boy, we don't have passports, mate, and we've no intention of getting them. We holiday in this country. We do our bit for our economy here. And besides that, with my conditions, well, and summer headers, the heat would do us, and the travelling would do us in as well.
I don't do hot.
She doesn't do hot. I can't walk very far.
Nor me.
But thank you.
Yeah, very kind of you to offer, mate. Thank you very much.
My very rich brother's got a very big, posh villa in Portugal. And, we've never been over there. I've got relatives in Ireland that keep saying come over. But I wouldn't be able to do the travelling, to be honest. It's a struggle now when we go up to Cumbria. We don't know how long we're going to keep being able to do that. We're going to try it again this year. See how we go at the end of July. Well, what's it on the date? A couple of weeks in July. See if I'm still capable of doing a bit of fishing physically. Although it is like 30 seconds of energy, then sit for some time looking at the end of a rod. But it's getting all the gear out, taking it down on the beach. Considering I struggle to walk the length of this room some days. Heather uses a walker that you can see behind me there. I could probably end up using that. Put the fishing box on it. Use it like one of them big game fishing seats. But yeah, I did watch some goings on in the house yesterday. There was questions on justice. That was it. They were discussing and debating where they're going from here, and they brought up the shoplifting, obviously. And what they're doing is they're talking now about lowering the threshold for prosecution, whereas before it was the £200 or whatever. They're on about bringing that right down. But tagging people don't work. And the documentary on Dispatches showed that there ain't enough tags. The system doesn't work most of the time, even for the new release from prison. So what can they do? Give them a bit of paper, give them a fine. They'll laugh at it. That'll be it on that.
£8 a week.
Yeah. Like your TV license, only pay it if you watch BBC or Channel 4. But the other one was the electric bike problem, with the phone thefts and bike thefts. The only thing that they said on that, DJ, good evening. You spotted Father Christmas dressed as Easter Bunny. That must be scary. He's moonlighting, mate. But yeah, all they said on that was one of them said, "Oh, we're planning some summer operations." Well, they do it all year round, so why not start it now? There was questions on the grooming gangs, obviously. Very neatly sidestepped and covered over with a load of bollocks, as usual. But, someone asked what you're going to do about the gangs that are running around with the machetes and, the knife crime. Well, yeah, we're going to put more officers out there. Well, you went because you've got more leaving that are joining up. Same as the army. Oh, there's been earthquakes happening everywhere, Jen, according to them. Some of them are minor, and they're in areas that get them all the time anyway. They just don't get reported. Yes, there are some big ones, but they keep banging on. It's all about climate change. That's what's causing the wildfires. No, most of them wildfires are down to arson. But as we've always said, and most of the scientific world, especially paleontologists and people like that, have said it's the Earth going through its natural cycle. People are akin it to some of the old big disaster sci-fi movies. The moon's going to crash into the Earth, but it's just the globe going into its normal cycle. That's all it is. There is a name for it. I can't remember what it is now, but I mean, they went on about the heat wave. We had a heat wave back in '76, and that was bloody hot because I can remember that one. We had another one, although it was only a short one, back in the '60s, I think it was.
63, was it?
63 was the big snow, the big freeze. It might have been 63 on the summer as well, though, because I was only a toddler. And the family went on, I say the family, there was only me at the time, went on a day trip to, I think it was Brighton or Bognor. Back in them days, get on the coach. And I apparently, like our souls, good evening. I was plonked down on the beach with a nylon string vest on. I think I was only about 3 or 4, my mum said, and I ended up in hospital because the vest had actually melted into my fucking skin. But yeah, exactly, Jen. The weather was beautiful during lockdown. Maybe they couldn't send the planes up, Graham, mate. But again, this weekend, last week, was absolutely beautiful here most days. Come Easter weekend, it's cloudy again. And then today we're back to being, nice and bright again. Makes you think, doesn't it? Let's get some rain going for Easter weekend when everybody wants to get away. They removed all the roadworks, or a lot of them, so people could travel better. But as far as I've heard, they left all the speed restrictions in place, so it didn't make any fucking difference. Magically, the trains were playing up again in certain places. They just don't want us to have freedom of movement. It's all that trying to contain us, to control us shit again. Because, and to show how stupid that is, Khan is looking into the idea of banning cars from Wimbledon. All the parking spaces in Wimbledon will be replaced with bike racks. Yeah. There is everywhere, Jem. You know, considering they say they can't afford to do nothing on the roads, there seems to be an awful lot of work going on the roads. You know, and to be honest, what's the point of going to a nice old quaint seaside town for an Easter weekend when it's likely to be overrun with fucking immigrants running around with knives, bothering the women, stealing whatever you got? That's if you can find a hotel that's got any room, because it's full of them bastards. But oh, my bloody back's hurting. I've never had so many aches and pains in my life.
Getting old.
Oh, I know I'm getting old, but it's like the body's getting older than me at a faster pace, shall I say. You know, in Cornwall, 3-week break. Nice, yeah, there are places with them down there. Nuki kicked up about one hotel and they got rid of them. You got the Camelot Hotel. Fair play to the bloke there, because that would have decimated the little village there. No, he wasn't having it. Fair plays to him. That was only brought up in people's streams again the other day, but that was a little while back. But there are a lot of hotels that are kicking them out, to be honest, and you know, they want their paying customers back. Well, personally, I wouldn't touch with a barge pole any hotel that was housing the immigrants. That's all right, Graham, no worries, buddy. I know you're in and out all the time. Oh. Yeah, it's the same with any council and government contracts, Scott, and hospitals. I mean, any contractor, building contractor, painting and decorator, electrician. I mean, most hospitals have got their own works department that deals with a lot of it. But anybody that gets awarded a contract from the NHS can basically treble what they'd quote for the work than you would do in the public sector out here. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's been a rip-off for many, many years. Many years. And I can say that because don't forget, I was a contractor that worked at a hospital full-time. Yes, it is, Graham. It's St. George's Day and Heather's birthday. But, you know, I know my boss made more than enough money out of it. But in fairness, he paid us a reasonable wage and he was a good boss. Well, the last one was before I had to jack it in anyway. One before that was a right bastard. So that's how we used to treat him. But he knew he wouldn't get anybody else to do the job, so... Yeah, it's what they pay out, Scar. They could halve their outgoings. I mean, you know, the cleaning departments, I mean, the agencies pay the workers well below the money yet they charge the NHS 4 times the wage, you know. It's just pure greed. You know, like their DEI managers. I haven't heard of any of them going. They said there was a few thousand people that were going to be laid off. I haven't heard who they are. They would be the first ones that need to go. Put the money back into the front line. Like ourselves, yes, I have heard that. Officially, I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest.
That's what you were saying about it clashing with.
Yeah, because it conflicts with Easter week. And as far as I know, you're not supposed to have a Saint's Day or celebrate a Saint's Day during another Christian festival. Pardon me.
My birthday has been over Easter weekend, and I've never heard about it being moved.
No. It was only I read something about it today. Somebody brought it up in a conversation. And yeah, Silver Fox talks about a lot of things, Jen. I don't watch him simply because I do watch the odd one of his videos because they're small enough, short enough to not take up the time during the day, but it's the amount of them he puts out. You know, the way he puts them out, you don't get a chance to go and look at anything else because it's him. You know, there's lots of other channels do it that way as well. They're quite popular. You know, just concentrating on one subject. But it would kill me trying to do that amount of videos in a day.
There are quite a few newspaper articles saying St George's Day has been moved from the 23rd because of it can't take place the week before or week after Easter.
Yeah, I thought there was something like that there. Thank you for confirming that. But the channels to be very, very wary of are obviously these AI channels that are popping up now in ever increasing numbers. You know, they're using clickbaits like Starmer's resigned, or, you know, Rachel from accounts has stepped down, or she's been sacked, or Starmer's been shoving it up the arse of somebody else. They're just clutching at straws. There's nothing happening from them. When they do put out a proper decent video with the news, it's usually about a week behind anyway. So, and most of them are foreign. You know, they're up from out in the Indonesia and, you know, Thailand, places like that. And they're just a pain in the ass. You know, this is what you get from AI.
Hey, if St George's Day has been moved to next Monday,
you can celebrate it again.
I can have my birthday all over again.
Yeah.
Does that mean
you get 2 birthdays a year?
Does that mean I get another year older?
Oh no, you'll never be older than me. No, we're ours are getting emptied regular, like ourselves. They always have been. Even during lockdown and that, we got our bins emptied quite regular.
My daughter hasn't had an issue either.
No, and she lives closer to Birmingham City than we do. We're a little way outside. Good evening, Hunter. And we've got our own sort of local council, as it were, as well. So maybe they're having something to do with it. But no, we've only missed one collection. Even over Christmas holidays and stuff like that. Even if it's a bank holiday, when your collection falls, they'll come and empty them for you. Well, didn't we have them one year on Christmas, New Year's Day? They came out and collected them. But again, you know, that's Labour for you. It's a Labour council. They couldn't admit that they were wrong. They disagreed with a court ruling and challenged it. And it ended up costing them millions and millions more. which was what effectively bankrupted the council. It's not actually bankrupt, otherwise they'd have their 150 odd million pounds worth of artwork relieved of. But yeah, it's Labour, isn't it? Labour controlled, and there was no local election for the Birmingham Council this year, or not as yet.
Because it was only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was only a couple of years ago, so we don't even get the chance of kicking them out. But they've already admitted that a lot of services are going to have to go. One is the children with special needs, I think it is. They're taking a lot of support away from them. The support they give to special needs schools, they're taking it away from that. And basically everyday services that we use, they're taking it away from there. Gordo, good evening, buddy. How you keeping? Yeah, but it's, as I say, it hasn't really affected us. As I say, Heather's daughter lives in a more, what shall I say, densely populated area than we are. But she's been getting hers emptied. It's only certain areas in Birmingham where it's been piling up.
Where they don't want to go.
Yeah, you know, if people are reasonable, in between collections now, you might get half a dozen bin bags, which they tell you, yep, fine. Just put them by the side of your bin neatly, which most reasonable people will do. And then it takes in certain areas one to start dumping them on the street. And then everybody piles in, dumping fucking mattresses, commercial waste, and all the shit that the bin men wouldn't normally take anyway. Yeah, exactly, Scar. I mean, most head honchos in most councils are on a lot more than Comrade Starmer is, to be honest. I've heard of one that's on well over 230,000 a bloody year. Oh, yeah, we know where it's going, Graham. What do I think of pen multipliers? They're all right, Gordo. I've only ever used the boat versions, the heavy jobs back in the day. I've never used their beach gear. Heather's got a fixed spool that's a pen.
So what?
But
does the job?
My multipliers are either Abu or Daiwa. I've got a Slosh, I've got a Rocket, and I've got a couple of little cheap ones which are Rocket copies, but yeah. Big back pockets. Yeah, like I say, the trouble is, I mean, you've only got to look at the clips on the news and videos on YouTube and other platforms. I mean, and I'm not being vicious when I say this or anything, or racist, but you can clearly see what minority that live in those areas. Yeah, I'm not saying there isn't British people there as well, but
also, you don't know how many of these places where people are fly tipping are actually next to the tip, and they've come to use the tip and they're not allowed access because they haven't booked a slot.
Yeah, this is the problem. I mean, if we had a problem here, literally the tip is just round the corner, the local council tip. But you have to ring up or go online, you have to book in, you have a time to be there. I mean, what happened to just driving in, dumping your fucking rubbish in a skip and driving out?
Long queues.
You know, you got people, oh, I'm half an hour early, so they're holding up the traffic while other people are trying to get it. It's ridiculous. Pen rival. Yeah, that's not bad, Gordo. Jess Phillips said Burnley Yardley consistent. Yeah. I mean, if there was a local election, she'd lose that loafer. Piece of piss. Yeah, exactly, Gordo. And you can guarantee that when you try and ring up, you sat there on hold for God knows how long. You know, then you got to take ID, and it's fucking ridiculous.
Proof of your address.
People come through. Yeah, exactly, Graham. Yep. Yep, they do take note of how many times you go there, loafer. And you got to tell them exactly what's in your bags so it can go in the relevant skip. You know, as I said, a lot of the dumping on the streets, what makes it worse is stuff that the bin lorries wouldn't take anyway. Like I said, beds and fridges and washing machines. I've even seen one video where there's 5-gallon cans of fucking used cooking oil. Well, it's obvious where that come from, but
take away.
Yeah, it's it comes out in July, I think it is, like ourselves. They're already on about him doing another fucking tour, but I think he'll have a lot of restrictions on him. And he won't be able to do what he was doing on YouTube. Ofcom won't allow it. The only way he'll be able to do it is through his website. I'll get them service, Gordo. Especially the bearings. Buying second-hand reels, the first thing I do is change the bearings, put new bearings in. Yeah, I've heard of them asking people to turn off dash cams. I said, fuck it, mate. Mine's on permanently. You can't turn it on and off. When the car's running, it's on. Fuck them. Yeah, I don't use braid, Gordo. I'm strictly a copolymer line.
But I use what he puts on there.
Cheap shit. No, I do. I don't buy cheap line. Usually, I prefer the Daiwa tournament. Very consistent. Never let me down in the past.
The only thing you let me pick is my colour.
Well, it does come in various colours, obviously. And where we used to have 3 rods out, it's easier if you got different coloured lines as well on the different coloured rods when you get them crossed over. They say the yellow frightens a fish, but I've never found it to be so. I always use clear hook lengths anyway, so.
Well, I must admit, I've never been down there seeing what the fish's reaction to it is when he says, "Oh my God, it's alive."
And they don't usually sort of give up that information either once you've yanked them out with it, do they? Oh, babe, can you do us a favour?
No.
Because I left the front door unlocked for Sparky.
Yes.
He's obviously not coming round now, so.
Yes.
If you could lock that for me, that would be great.
Yes. Got to go to the loo in a sec, so I was going
Went to check on my oil the other day, right the size of it. Yeah, okay, Graham, no worries, mate. No worries. Yeah, that's the other thing, Moo. This is what they've been complaining about in the city, because obviously the rats do get in under the bonnet, under the dashboard, wherever, and they got a habit of chewing up the wires, which they try that with an electric car. Yeah, they might get well zapped and cooked, but they're going to cause a lot of fucking damage. The trouble is with rats, you can only use the poison for a certain amount of time because eventually, yeah, it will kill some, but eventually they do get immune to a lot of them. I mean, you know, the air gunners would have a field day with them, but of course you're not allowed to shoot in public. All right, buddy, no worries, Graham. Try tying the bimini twist, Gordo. That's one to really get your head around. But yeah, even what's her name, the old ginger growler Rainer, building projects. Well, most of them ain't even been started, have they? To be honest. And you know, the National Grid have told them and outrightly said, "Look, we can't supply everything that you want to do. It just isn't there."
Do you want to drink or anything while I'm up and running
No,
around?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they were the size of rats like ourselves, but they do get quite big. I think it's the bigger they can't get into small spaces, but you know, you'll get you know, well over a foot and a half long if you include the tail, some of them. Oh, she's brilliant, that Intel lady. You know, it's the fact that she takes the time with the hair and everything else as well. It's called extrusions. Yeah, well, the thing is, Graham, see, they're not consistent with this free speech shit. I mean, hopefully Trump will scare the shit out of Reeves and she'll bring back to Starmer like, you got to stop this fucking non-crime hate crime shit. You know, you got to give us the free speech or give us some back. Stop fucking locking people up for it. I mean, that's just proven us right at every fucking turn, what we say about him. Some of the shit in them piles of fucking rubbish, Gordo, I wouldn't let any dog that I had in there. Besides that, don't forget Muslims think dogs are dirty, so they won't have it. Don't know how they feel about ferrets. Yeah, that could be squirrels or mice, Stitch, rather than rats. It's only if you've got a food source up there that you'd find rats. Well, we have SCAR, but the trouble is it's overridden by the ECHR, which they like to follow, trying to take us back into Europe as he's doing. You know, it looks like we could end up losing our fishing rights again and still get nothing back from the French for it. Some of Trump's stuff, Graham, I'm quite behind. I'm quite behind him on a lot of it. I wouldn't say everything. You know, he is a bit like Starmer in a way. He's very arrogant. But, you know, he's bringing back industry to America. He's making Americans make the stuff that they were paying other countries for. You know, and China, well, anything that comes out of China, any fucking Tom, Dick and Harry can make anything better comes out of there, as long as you've got the materials and the workforce to do it. You can put poison boxes down, stitching traps, but that means you've got to check those traps regularly, because if there's a dead one in there, the others will eat it. We used to have a few at the bottom of the garden here, because next door, for some God knows reason, put a bloody chicken run in their garden and bought half a dozen chickens. And I mean, the little fuckers were out there feeding during the day. You could watch them out the window. So I started putting live traps up there for them. But in fairness to the neighbours, as soon as how they didn't notice them, I don't fucking know. But I told them about them, and within a day and a half, the chickens were gone, and the rats were gone with them. Now, there was, I think there was one nest that had got under my shed up the top. That was sorted with a powder fire extinguisher. But, yeah, and we're right next to a brook, a stream as well, like the overflow stream from the lakes at Sutton Park. So, you know, we know they get down there. I used to see them down there early morning cycling to work. You know, there was that many of them. We used to play games trying to run the little bastards over. But it's a fact, no, you know, this country is a disposable country now. People just throw shit everywhere. You're going to do that, you're going to get rats. It's as simple as. Yeah, don't forget, it was rats that carried the fleas that had the plague. Disease and rats go hand in hand. Yeah, the smell, it's honestly, Stitch. We used to live probably a mile from a council tip where they dug. This was back in the day before the containers. They just dug big holes, lined them with clay, chipped everything in, and then covered them over. And on a hot day with the breeze in the right direction, it fucking stunk. But it was a good, I got to admit, it was a good source of cycle frames and parts. You could always go up there at weekends when it wasn't open and root through the piles of stuff like that. Remember one year we found boxes and boxes of XMOD gas masks that someone had bought and couldn't sell, and there must have been 2 dozen boxes of them up there with a 6 in each. Of course, all the kids had them. Yeah, that's it. Like I suppose that's why I say it's not just their trash, their waste, household waste that they're throwing out. They're throwing out stuff that the bin wagons would never take anyway. You know, they'd either have to take it to the tip themselves or pay the council to pick it up as a bulk item. And people won't do that, so they just dump it. Since next door guy. I'll tell you what, Jen, ours was useless. It couldn't catch a fucking cold, honestly. When she was alive, she had no interest in anything like that. Yet one I had years ago would bring back fucking rabbits. But little Wazza that I had here, no, she had no interest in it. As I say, she couldn't catch him if she tried. Towards the end, the poor little bugger couldn't even jump up on the chair properly. But she'd very rarely go out anyway. She used to, if I was indoors, she'd come and sit with me in here. Or she might sit on the table outside the window in front of me here. But she was never far away. If I was in the workshop up the shed, she'd come and sit in there with me. Mind you, so did all the neighbours' cats. She never used to go a lot on that, but they regularly got chased off. Yeah, that's in a way of paying you for feeding them, Gordo. You know, it's the same when they bring mice and rats back. dump them on the floor. It's basically they're contributing to the household. I mean, she couldn't even catch a bloody spider walking across the floor in here. She'd sit and watch them. But she couldn't bloody catch them. Oh, my back. So where I went out today, I've been on my feet a lot, and that doesn't bode well with my back. I don't know why I'm getting pains there, but yeah, that's the trouble. If you know, even rubbish bags, if they got food in, the rats will get in there. You know, any material, blankets, anything like that, they rip those apart for nests. Well, that's why we used to hang all the fishing nets up, because they just eat them, whether they're nylon or whatever. Bumblebees don't sting as far as I know, Gordo.
Do
they?
But bees have a sting that tend to have barbs on them, so they try not to sting.
Yeah, little bees.
And bumbles.
Do they? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Exactly, Gordo.
Even live chat gets... yeah. I meant to put that in the description, obviously. The faceless cowards will be watching. You know us, if we've never removed a comment in God knows how many years. If we do ever remove one, we always explain why we removed it.
Also, sorry, I clicked on it.
Yeah, when I didn't know what I was doing with the setup. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to delete that. Yeah, the stream here is about 50 yards down the road, Jen. Well, look at it this way, there wouldn't be any crops and flowers and shit without bees, would there? Like ourselves. Well, he'd look like one of them honey hunters, wouldn't he, out in Thailand or whatever. Yeah, it's genuine honey. With his face looking like the Elephant Man. One that used to bug ours was the old crane flies, the daddy long legs as they've known. She just couldn't catch them, but they used to keep bugging her. Yeah, I don't like wasps, Jim. We had a wasp nest up in the eaves of the house a year or so ago. And I thought they were bees. So I rang the council exterminator. I said, can we get this done? Oh, yeah, but you'll have to pay for it. I said, fuck that. I went to Screwfix, bought a trigger can of the wasp killer, strapped it with tape to the end of a stick with a string to activate the spray, and hung out the bedroom window and sprayed it up under the tiles. They were gone in 2 days. Yeah, have a look on YouTube, Moo. You can make these deadfall traps. It's the wasps are bad, but it's them fucking Asian hornets we got over here now. You got to watch out for them. They're big, nasty bastards they are, but they're easy to spot. They're absolutely massive.
That reminds me, we never did find that wasp
in the office. No. Yeah, especially the Asian ones. They're almost like a dark orange and black. They're about 4, probably more times the size of our normal wasps. But then, you think about it, the influx of people that have been coming in, You know, they've had clothes, they've got their bags. Who's to say that some of these little nasty things and critters ain't coming across in their stuff?
Enjoy your evening, Graham.
All right, Graham, take it easy, buddy. Have a safe night. Same with the Channel Tunnel, wasn't it? They reckon there was going to be loads coming across there. But there again, you know, look at what we're introducing back into the wild. Wolves, beavers. There's even talk about fucking mammoths. The dire wolf, that was another one, wasn't it? Yeah, they're here and they're breeding here, Stitch. If you see one, I'm not going to say they're easy to spot. I'm just trying to think if I've got anything relevant size. You know, they're a good inch long. And if you see one, you're supposed to report it because they're that big, they can actually track them back to the nest. They actually follow them. And the thing is that they'll kill the native beeves. They'll decimate a hive. You know, we don't need shit like that. I mean, we've got scorpions in this country. We've got redback spiders, the black widow spiders. We've got 2 colonies of those in this country. The scorpions are only little tiny white ones, but they're still living in the wild. They've also already been introduced in Scotland, Gordo. Not the dire wolf, but the normal wolf. They've actually introduced those in Scotland. That was a while back. All right, Jan, no worries, darling. Yeah, they are a bitch to get rid of, Stitch. You know, if you can't do it yourself. And the thing is that, you know, they breed and breed and breed. As long as they're feeding, they're breeding. You know, they can pop up anywhere. If you've got a ground floor toilet, you'd even find them coming up in there sometimes. Your farmhouses used to suffer from that. They used to climb up from the septic tank, but they're disease-ridden things. Yeah, and some of them will bite animals as well. They will bite pets. I mean, beavers. Well, with the numbers they're releasing here, it wouldn't be too bad. But you know, look at what they do in Canada and in the States. You know, they totally fuck up waterways if they're not managed. You've got wild boar that have been released. I think it was in the New Forest. Well, they can be a danger to human life. A wild boar will quite happily attack a human. I thought they'd already released some Gordo. I saw a thing on it some time back. Unless they're keeping them penned up and just letting them live in a certain area, I don't know. Oh, you were talking about them huge hornets. I was going to say the wolves have. It was at least 2 years ago I saw it.
I was going to say I've given up trying to keep up with the conversation because some of it's hornets, some of it's wasps, some of it's rats, some of it's mice. Too much for me.
Maybe this is why they've got them in compounds and doing it that way, Gordo. I mean, the dire wolf, I don't believe will ever be released in the wild.
Is that because of the dire consequences?
Pun intended.
Oh, duh.
Duh.
I wondered why they called them dire wolves. You know,
Well, they probably were quite dire towards extinction. Ooh, bloody hell.
No, that's a Discord message. Thank you, Gordo.
Well, I turn everything off now because I get too many distractions with notifications and all sorts of shit going on
So
here.
I messaged Brian, and he ain't come back to me. I'm beginning to wonder whether my phone's connected.
Your phone?
But I've had a text message come through, so.
Oh.
You know, the issue you were having.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know whether I'm having that issue.
So they haven't sorted it out?
I don't know.
That's why I went back to Vodafone. I couldn't be doing with it. They weren't a reliable provider.
Well, I don't know. They might be reliable.
This is what's actions when these small companies rent the time for mobiles off of the bigger ones.
Sorry. My point is Brian hasn't messaged me back.
No, well, he hadn't messaged me either. Unless I missed one.
Did you check with him to see if he was still coming?
No.
I did.
Oh, okay. Well, so if he wants to come round after 9 o'clock, I could probably stay awake for another half hour, but yeah, I don't know. Like I say, normally I've got a load of notes here that
you haven't mentioned the picture.
The picture?
The kiss.
Oh, yeah. Has Starmer got an exotic lover? Well, most people are saying the video clip that's been posted everywhere is of him getting the old tongue stuck down Lord Ali's neck. Well, I've watched that clip from several different sources, and I'll be honest, I couldn't say that's them. That could have been anybody, you know. The thing is, if it was a camera that was going to catch them full on where you can see them, they're going to know that camera was there. And to be honest, no matter where they go, they're probably aware of any cameras anyway. But ask Bunny, you're aware. So I'm actually reserving my judgment on that. We know there's something very strange going on with the guy. He is a very strange guy. But if he is porking him, he was getting well paid from Lord Ali, wasn't he? You know, is it favour for favour? You know, you want to get ahead nowadays, you got to give a little head. Maybe that's an arrangement. But there again, they reckon he was shafting the old ginger growler as well at one point, wasn't they? So, but this is what I mean. You can't believe half these sources. I mean, the Hancock one, yeah, he was caught bang to rights by a camera that he didn't know was there. And you could clearly see who it was in that clip of them. But this one, 5-second clip. Oh, yeah, he's a total treasonous twat. I couldn't agree with you more, my darling. Absolutely 100% agree with that. Along with the rest of them. But, there's a lot of Labour support waning now. There's a lot of members leaving. He's got the revolt coming up on the back bench over the online safety bill for one. They're still going on about the benefits cuts and stuff like that, because a lot of them went through with very, very little debate. And now with allegedly the Tories getting together with Reform, well, I don't think that's really a clever idea. You know, the Tories, they're all over the place. You know, Kemi Badenoch stands up there and shouts the shout, but when it comes down to it, is she Prime Ministerial stuff? I don't believe so. I believe Reform are the party that can do it, but I'd rather not see it with Farage stood in front of them. You know, it's... You know, I'd still vote Reform if I was given the chance at the moment. I mean, Lib Dems way out there. I mean, that silly fucking idiot that's in charge of, I can't remember his name now, can't remember, you know, can't make up his mind whether a woman's a woman or he's a fucking identifying as hobby horse. Yeah, that's what I said in the video, Moo. You know, Ed Davey, that's it, Lofa, thank you. You know, I don't give a fuck of his political, well, we know his political persuasion, but his sexual persuasion, I don't give a flying fuck. There's been gay and homosexual MPs from both sides, male and female, for many, many years. Most of them are open about it. There's a lot that are still keep it to themselves. People don't know. You know, it comes back to this DEA hire. It's not what you are, it's what you can do. Are you capable of doing the job? You know, he could be as gay as fuck and still do a good job. Well, if he does his boyfriend as well as he manages the government, I wouldn't have much hope for either of them, but because he certainly doesn't know how to run a country. But I would be very surprised that he's managed to keep a lid on it for this amount of time. To be honest, with the way everybody's poking into his life, and well, I think if he was, it would have been exposed a long time ago. I mean, there's always been signs that he wasn't happy with his missus, but even if he is gay on that side of things, he's still cleaner than the royals, isn't he? But, you know, is this why they don't want the grooming gangs inquiries? You know, they're probably up to their necks in it when you look at, I mean, I saw a list a couple of weeks ago of Labour MPs that have either been prosecuted, jailed or whatever for basically having photos of kids, kiddly fiddling, having videos, etc. And there was over 50 on this list, but a lot of the names I didn't recognise, didn't know, so I don't know quite how far back in the years that list was. You know, it could have gone back to the 70s for all I know. But there does seem a lot more of them being exposed now, doesn't there? But yeah, you know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you're foreign and you've been caught committing that sort of crime, I don't believe there's any excuse that can be used not to deport them. You know, and with Lammy, it just shows, doesn't it? Not prepared to do anything here. He shouted down and voted down the inquiry. Yet he'll spend 120 million to, was it the Sudan or somewhere like that, to protect girls from sexual predators there and women. You know?
Evening, Stuart.
He's been there a while.
Has he?
Oh, is he? Oh, no. Hi, Stuart. Sorry, mate.
He might have been there a while.
But,
He hasn't
yeah.
commented.
You know, it's like the borders. He'll pay to keep every other fucking country safe, bar ours. And now it seems they'll pay every other fucking country to keep their women and children safe, but not here. And with the amount of effort they're putting in to try and shelve it and get it covered up, there's got to be some real damning evidence in there. And I reckon whoever does one and publicises it, yeah, no worries, Stuart. You know, and that's just my opinion on it. There's got to be a reason they're covering it up, and that's what I think the reason is. They've got too much to lose if things get exposed. We know there's been quite a few coppers that some have been arrested. I've even heard of one or two being charged with being involved with child abuse in Rotherham. Again, I haven't seen anything to substantiate it. You know, you can't believe everything you see on YouTube or Twitter or any of the channels. You can't believe everything you see. You know, I prefer to see something official. It's like that silly fucking Cooper, the Home Secretary. Oh yes, we will publish the lists and the numbers and the percentages of how many crimes are committed by certain ethnicities. You know, there'll be white people included in that. It'll be a breakdown. But I can guarantee that will be so heavily redacted. She said we would get it out by the end of the year. Well, with all this new AI you're introducing, you should be able to get it out in a few fucking days. But they won't. They won't. They'll wait until they need it to cover something else up or distract you from something, or they want to put another set of people against another set of people. They'll use it for that. That seems to be their MO a lot of the time. You know, if it can turn one fraction against another, they see it as usable.
I'm going to come over to you. Don't have a heart attack. But this notice we got about the 4 upcoming road repairs.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I hold it the right way around to the camera. You seen the company name?
Kia.
That side's got the address, so you can show that.
Yeah.
But you can show, yeah.
Yeah, no, they can show that side.
I think you see there.
She's just noticed we got a notification that next month they're shutting the road for a day up the top here for repairs. And she just noticed the name of the company that are doing it. Oh, that's another one that will go on for months then. What did you say? Yes, I mean, they're going on about this digital facial recognition credit scoring bollocks again. If that ever gets in, we're fucked. If they ever introduce that, we are absolutely fucked. Because the next thing you'll know, it'll be law that you've got to go and register, got to have your picture taken, and that's it. They've got control of your finances, they've got control of your travel, even down to what foodstuffs you buy. I mean, they're already talking about looking into benefit claimants' bank accounts to see what they're spending the money on. And you can guarantee if they see something, oh, well, you shouldn't really be buying that if you're on benefits, they'll cut your benefits back.
Definitely a reason for paying $4.20 in cash.
Yeah, exactly, Stuart. It's like, now you look at all the videos and what have you of all the bailiffs and the debt collectors on YouTube, especially. A lot of them come back to a company called Capita. They're also ones that are involved in the BBC licensing and harassing people. Well, would you be at all surprised to find out that Capita actually collates all the data and everything for the DWP? It's actually Capita. When you ring up to report your benefits or like apply for PIP, it's all Capita. I'd like to know how much the fucking government are paying the subcontractors for that little shit. They also had a lot to do with security originally around the migrant hotels as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah, the main decisions on it, sure, are made by government people, but the collation of information and investigations and shit is Capita. There may be other companies involved, but that to me seems to be, because when I made a claim, they rang me back and they openly announced it was Capita ringing on behalf of the DWP, which was a big mistake with me. You know what I'm like. But it was trying to get my sickness thing, and so I had to comply. Otherwise, they'd have shut me down. Oh, getting real fucking pains here. I'll keep going for another little while. But yeah, most of these agencies that they're saying they're putting out there, most of them subcontract. Again, they'll be paying more money for it. I dare say there's some inside the Labour Party totally that are working for an outside contractors, data collection, monitoring. You know, you can't say Ofcom and that are because they're just controlled by the government. The government have told them what they've got to do, probably threatening them, and then Ofcom go and threaten the platform providers like they did with Gab and BitChute. You know, the big ones like X and what have you. Yeah, well, not so much Facebook. They do bow to a lot of it. But the government know they've got the money to fight back where these smaller platforms haven't. You know, they can ruin them just with one fine, basically. Yeah, exactly, Stuart. Anything like that, Capita has their hand in. You know, Mighty used to have their hand in everything, but they fell out of favour with the government. But like I said, Stuart, earlier, there's talk of them slashing the payments to families that have lost somebody on active service or they're pensioned off. I don't know whether it was slashing the money that they pay them or they were going to tax them a lot more on it to try and recover, which I find absolutely disgusting, you know. And then they wonder why people are leaving the army and not signing up. Maybe that's why he wants to send all of them abroad. Oh, well, if you want out the army, you can find your own fucking way home. I mean, that would be quite hard for a sailor, wouldn't it, from the middle of the fucking China Sea? or some poor fucker on the front line in the Ukraine. But apparently Belgium is sending soldiers to the Ukraine. They'll be on the front line. They're going to be there to learn about the drone warfare. But guess what? They said they're not going to be armed. Straight away, Putin said, if they're on the front line and they're fucking around with drones, they're a legitimate target. They keep saying about the rules of war. And I've always said there are no rules in war. It's kill or be killed. Yeah, the Mighty were a company. I actually worked for them a few years back. And they were the biggest bunch of fucking wasters going. They pay an absolute pittance. The jobs don't get done properly. Half the people don't know what they're fucking doing. I mean, they actually run the grounds maintenance side at the local hospital before the other company took it over. I had a mower blew up. And this is to cut all the grass around the whole hospital. They turned up with a £124 mower from fucking B&Q. That wasn't even self-propelled. I said, you can fuck right off. If you think I'm cutting these acres and acres of grass with that, you can fuck off now. And as soon as the other company took over, I had nice ride-on mowers, gang mowers, nice big commercial mower, a backup mower, machine to sweep the curbs, the big Hoover thing with the chair on the back so you could sit on it and sweep all the litter up. Before you were given a wheelbarrow and a fucking broom and a shovel. Yeah, Mighty, I'd never worked for them. But they were a company that got very big very quick. I don't know who funded them, but they were everywhere, buying up businesses, plumbing businesses, electricians, companies like that. Cleaning companies, security companies. G4S were the same. That they started originally, I think, was security, and then all of a sudden they're everywhere. They run the hospital car parks here. In fact, I think they run most hospital car parks, but most of the money they make out of these car parks don't go to the hospitals anyway. It goes to them. Yeah, they do move. Scar, sorry. I says, yeah, they used to do a lot of stuff at the hospitals, Stuart. And this is where a lot of the money gets wasted. They want a light bulb changed at the hospital. What's it going to take? A couple of minutes? Yeah, they'd probably get charged £300-400 for that. Oh, we've got to come out to do it. We've got to put cones up everywhere. We've got to put step ladders up. We've got to have 2 people on the ground. It's like the building game used to be. You were always waiting on somebody to come and check something or sign something off. But the hospitals were charged more for it, and they've continued to do so. I mean, billions for a new building. Same type of building would probably cost millions, not billions, outside, Your supervisor for assembly cleaners. Yeah, and most of it, the easy jobs, they used to employ foreigners, basically. I mean, I took that job with Mighty. They never even asked for any ID. it weren't until 2-3 weeks in that they actually asked for my national insurance number so the fuckers could pay me. Yeah, exactly, Moo. And they even charge the staff, fine the staff as well if they haven't got a parking permit that they paid for. It's fucking ridiculous. It really is. I mean, there are free services, you know, the voluntary patient transport services. But, you know, I nearly used one once. But they openly told me, they said, well, we need to pick you up 4 hours before your appointment. And it'll probably be another 4 hours after your appointment before we can drop you back. I said, well, the appointment's only 5 fucking minutes, for crying out loud. And you want me to wait around for 8 hours for transport? I said, fuck it. Yeah, it's... Right. We'll be back in a sec, guys. I'm just going to get another drink. Oh, I am suffering tonight.
Oh.
No, it's all across here.
Oh, it's all that chocolate.
No, this has been going on for a while. Well, I can't stand it a sec for very long. Oh, you still eating chocolate?
Oh. What do you mean, still eating chocolate?
Oh, I didn't see you open it.
No, because you sat there talking on the live and then you just gone and got it.
The other thing with that, Moo, is especially the one round here, I believe it's the same at other hospitals. You can go in as a patient. You can't get an ambulance, say. So you drive yourself to the hospital to go to A&E. They keep you in. Your car's in the car park for God knows how long. And it can cost you a fortune. They do around here give you a discount if you're actually admitted while you're there or something. But, you know, yeah, charging the sick people to park. And there isn't any street parking around the hospital here. There's just double yellow lines everywhere. There's a free car park in the actual little park over the back there, but the gates don't open till I think it's 9:30 in the morning, and they lock them up at dusk. So if your car's in there, you're fucked. But yeah, it's all about the money. You know, it's not about the well-being of the people. You know, like Starmer's, oh, we're going to cut down the waiting list by taking people away, doing a lot of treatment and shit at the GP surgeries. Well, all that's doing is going to cost them more and more and more to hire more and more GPs. So the actual cost of cutting those waiting lists are just going to explode. I mean, a lot of surgeries can't get the drugs that people need now. Hello, is that my eyes or is that camera going in and out of focus a bit then? I mean, there's a woman I know on Facebook. Her mother is not very well. She's hospitalised. And I think it was over the bank holiday. The hospital said we can't give her a pain medication because we haven't got any. The hospital had run out of pain medication. Yeah, Yeah, Starmer's there. Oh, we're fixing the NHS. Is he bollocks? He's absolutely fucking destroying it. And the thing is, you know, they keep saying, oh, there's all these new diseases of this, that, and the other. Yes, Moo, they will in certain circumstances. I can get a home visit if I want one. The woman that normally takes me blood samples for testing, that's a home visit. But that's something that's on the cards, especially around this one, that we're with for the older patients or the ones that are housebound that can't get to the surgery. Crippled like me. But I normally get round there somehow. But yeah, and I mean, all these new diseases, extra strains of this and that and the other. Well, who's to say that that's not coming across the channel with certain people? You know, you don't see them there with the old fucking spray like you used to with people coming in. You know, should they need to go through a total decontamination bit? You know, I can get appointments, Stuart. I must admit, I do get fast track for appointments. I haven't had to make any for a good 6 months now. When I get an appointment, they actually ring me to tell me I need an appointment. I mean, I had one the other day, my blood pressure clinic. We've been doing phone consultations because I send my forms in with my daily blood pressures on. But this time they want to actually see me. So I said, fine, make me an appointment. Thank you for ringing.
Make sure you're real.
Hey?
Make sure you are real.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, my haematologist, that's normally a telephone appointment. But there again, literally, that's going once a month. They do a quick blood test while you wait, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. If my red blood cell count is higher than, I think it's 5, then there and then they give me a venous section, which means taking a big bag of blood out of me. But literally, that's the only thing they can do at the moment. So, you know, there's no need for me to take up the haematologist's time. She just rings me every other month or so just to keep me in the picture. Yeah, the other thing I like here, Scar, well, and Stuart, I have got a dedicated GP. She's an annoying bitch, but that is the one that I normally see, and any problems I see, just her. It means, you know, they don't have to go through the whole history of what my problems are each time I go in there, because that's what tends to happen with a group practice. So you have to spend the first 10 minutes of your appointment explaining to them. Whereas with her, it's straight in, oh, yeah, right, today you hear about your arthritis, you say, you know. But if I wanted a general appointment, I could probably get one within a week. Last time they wouldn't do it. I went round there and played up merry fuck, and they saw me on the day while I was there. Well, I've been waiting for a good 6 months now for an appointment for physio on my arthritis. I've been waiting well over 3 months for an ultrasound on, I can't remember whether it was my kidneys or my liver. Apparently there could be issues with one of them. I'm just waiting for them to say we want to do the older scope up the arse bit, then we're going to have some fun and fucking games, I'll tell you. But I have got to see her soon as well, because my COPD nurse is going down the same route as me and thinking that there's more of a problem with my lungs than just the COPD, with the pains and that I'm getting. So once I've seen her next time, that's probably going to be another lot of x-rays or a scan. Yeah, ours ain't that big, Stuart, but there's 2 different practices in the same building. They've got another practice about 2 miles up the road, and they got another one somewhere as well. Usually, if you can't get
4 or 5 of them,
yeah,
because you've got the one on.
You're Ash Furlong.
Yeah, you've got the one down by Bry. You've got Mere Green. You've got ours, and I think there's one in Warmley as well.
Yeah. But I always tell them, well, the only one I can get to is the local one here, and they normally sort me out. I did have to go to one of the others for the COPD nurse originally, but basically she's handed that back to one at the local practice. So. But yeah, I mean, back during, well, the end of the pandemic, when I first started getting some real symptoms, yeah, I used to have problems getting an appointment, but in the last year or so, no. Taking a bit, yeah, it's for the cancer and that move. That's generally why they use it, but they just seem to want to poke it up everybody at the moment.
Yeah, but a camera up the arse isn't going to tell you you've got cancer of the lungs.
No.
The COPD, it's an issue with your lungs.
Yeah, but with my problems down here, kidneys lower, there's a good chance they say, oh, right, well, we need to investigate that. Anyway, you stand 10 feet that way and you can look at it from there with binoculars, because that's about as close as you're ever going to fucking get. Yeah, but don't forget, Stuart, they're not actual doctors. They're general practitioners. So what they actually do is they know a little bit about everything. I've caught them out a few times. And like a mini hospital here, they got a nurse's treatment room if you want a plaster stuck on something, or you've got to have some form of jab or blood's taken, but that's about it. And she's not always there. She's only there 2-3 days a week, I think it is now. But they got loads to choose from. I mean, there was, what was it the woman said last time? 2,500 GPs that are out of work, can't find a job. No, because they probably want too much money. With the nurses threatening to strike over money now. Won't be long before the GPs do. Teachers are on about it. They're going to vote on it. The railways are always doing it. The bin men are doing it. And this is where the government are losing support again, Labour. Because don't forget, most of their donations do come from unions. They always have had with the Labour Party.
I think they've got free rein now, Labour is in.
Oh, you got spit roasted, did you, Stuart? I've had a few operations, and I've got to say that the most uncomfortable one and the most painful one I've had was a spinal tap, when they wanted some spinal fluid.
Did they turn it up to 11?
Yeah. This is spinal tap. But yeah, they gave me an epidural, like they do for women that are having cesareans. And it's the most uncomfortable, painful procedure. It really is. And it gets even worse when you try and climb out of bed and stand up and you can't feel your fucking legs. You just end up with a heap on the floor, like, you know. Well, that's the one I'm more likely to have to start with, Stuart, is endoscope down the throat. Because I've always believed that the problems are in my throat rather than my lungs. And whatever's there is spreading to my lungs. Because my throat and that are quite scorched. They are very, very scarred. Obviously from the car fire that time, many, many years ago. I was always warned I could have problems with it. But yeah, that's the problem, Sky. If you've got an influx of, yeah, exactly, say 600 channel paddlers in a hotel locally, you know, most of the hotels, they have visiting NHS staff. Perhaps fine, like assholes. He's still down in Essex looking after his mum. He did pop home the other weekend. He's very active on Facebook, but obviously they've got no Wi-Fi at his mum's. So for now, he does hope to. Oh, look, that fucking thing is swinging around again. Yeah, see, it turned itself off this time. That's me waving my hand around. Yeah, it sort of feels like it circumvents any anaesthetic they give you, don't they, Stuart? The thing is, they can't knock you out under a general because they want to see your reaction to make sure they got it in the fucking right place. So that, yeah, that hurts. You know, you're sticking a 1/4 inch wide fucking needle in the middle of me fucking back and wiggling it about. It felt like they put it in with a hammer. Yeah, see, this is what I disagree with. They're getting preferential treatment. You know, you get some old dear that can't get a doctor to come out and see her. Yeah, any fucking issue with them, they're on call. They've usually got a nurse there in the hospital, in the hotel, or they've got set weeks where they come in to treat people. Yeah, exactly, Ricardo. Welcome. You know, they just swamp the place, and it's the same at the hospitals in A&E. You know, interpreters, because none of them can fucking talk to each other. You know. Oh, hang on. What's that coming in there? That's right. Oh, we've got a newcomer, Ricardo Sunshine. Welcome. As the description says, we run zero tolerance in the stream. Everybody keeps it respectful and.
But you're entitled to your own opinion.
Yeah, you're entitled to your own opinions, obviously. You know, it's how you give your opinions. That's always been the trouble I found with a lot of streams. You know, someone takes exception to somebody, and then the screaming and yelling starts, and we don't have any of that in here. Oh, I was going to open the panel up tonight. I fucking forgot about that. With only 10 minutes to go. Yeah, that's the trouble, Ricardo. We have got very, very limited resources at the moment. And we can't afford to pay any more because Rachel from accounts has skint the fucking country. But what can you do? I mean, I normally get, with my scripts, I normally get 3 months worth at a time because, as I told them, it's not that easy for me to go and get them and stuff like that. So the new pharmacy does a free delivery service. So right, we can't afford to keep giving you 3 months, we'll cut you down to 2 months. It just means I have to think a little bit further ahead. You know, when I'm running out, not all of them run out at the same time. I'm gradually getting them synchronized. But there again, you know, I take everything from blood thinners to steroids in puffers. There's another one. I got my blood pressure pills. Where's our paranormal? She's not about as much now, to be honest, like ourselves.
She's okay.
She's okay. She's doing fine. She's in quite a very good relationship at the moment, which is nice considering what the poor girl's been through in recent history, shall I say. And she's just enjoying life. But you've also got to take in account that she's got the problem with the growth in her brain. Her pills are totally messing her up. And she's got hopefully upcoming surgery to have that removed. So that's playing on her head as well, playing on her mind. So, you know, she's have to change a few things, the way she does things. But no, she's still there. You know, we do speak. In fact, we've got a bit of a get-together coming up pretty soon between myself, Mrs. W, Lost Souls, Dan, and what have you. So,
still to be arranged.
Still to be arranged, yeah. But obviously, I always ask, you know, people ask me how you are, you know, if there's certain things you don't want me to say or what's all right to tell people. If they're quite happy for me to tell people, then I do. Yes, I will, like ourselves. I mean, she's a lovely girl. She really is. And she doesn't deserve half of what's happened to her. To be honest, I'm just glad she's in a better place at the moment.
Yeah, I feel for her. I mean, she met us.
Yeah. Stuart Brown, Dan's. I don't know what he's doing, Stuart. I mean, we won't be going anywhere, that's for sure, this year. But if he is and he's on about it, you know, even if we don't go, I'll certainly put it out there when and where. But I don't think he knows where he's going to be at the moment, whether he's going to be at home, whether he's going to be at his mum's. I mean, he's obviously still looking for a place in Essex. Yeah, that's the trouble, Ricardo. I mean, I was until not so many years ago. Full-time worker, manual work at that. I had to slow down a bit, obviously, after the bypass. And then things just kept getting worse and worse.
I broke him.
And then I had the stroke. And that was when the consultants and the doctors were saying, well, look, with what's happening with you now, it's just not safe for you to work. You know, I don't have the skills to sit at a table and do work. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't be able to stay awake long enough to do it. You know, no company is going to allow you to do 10 minutes and then go and sleep for an hour because the fatigue's got you. Cheers, Ricardo. You know, it's, yeah, well, you know, if anybody says they haven't got some sort of problem, whether it be physical health, mental health, I would say they're wrong because everything that's going on now is probably causing a lot of anxiety. I've already heard that it's the financial situation in this country is causing hassle in families, couples. You know, obviously the younger generations that have bought a house in the last few years, with everything that's changed now, they're finding they can't afford to keep them. With interest rates and the economy and shit. Yeah, they could try like ourselves. I mean, I got a mate of mine comes round to even cut our lawn, and it's only 20 yards long, and I can't do it, physically can't do it. I can't stand on my feet for more than 3 or 4 minutes at a time. I have to do the washing up in 2 hits. I'll have to go and do that, come back, sit down for an hour, have a snooze or whatever, and then I go back and finish it. I always knew it was coming. I just didn't realise it was going to hit me that quick because I have abused my body over the years quite substantially. I've always done heavy manual work. I've always done dangerous sports. But yeah, I think this government, if they get their 5 years out of us or another 4 years as it is now, I reckon the economy will collapse and this country will be absolutely bankrupt. It's like that now anyway, because it's not going to get any better no matter what their predictions are.
I hate to think how much of a black hole the next government will
Oh, well, the thing is, whoever takes over, first thing they're going to say is, there's a £50 billion black hole.
Of course so.
Well, with what this government have been borrowing, they're up to the limit now. There's going to be a damn sight more than a £50 billion black hole. But right, well, I'm going to call that there, folks, because I am suffering. We're only a few minutes off my 2-hour target. Again, whether there'll be any more videos from me this week will, sorry, totally depend on how I'm feeling. I'd like to keep up with everything. But yeah, exactly, Loafer. She's up to the limit on, I've said the other week that this is why I reckon they were meeting secretly with BlackRock and that they're looking for financing, selling off the country like they do. And that's probably what Rachel from accounts will be trying to sell to Trump. You can have this, you can have that if you give us lower tariffs. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining us on this St. George's Day, which is happening again on the 28th, apparently.
Well, it's not St. George's Day today.
And as always, I'd like to thank everybody for being respectful, courteous in the chat, as you always are.
Can I give a great big thank you to everybody that's wished me happy birthday, either on here or on Facebook or wherever. It is much appreciated. I didn't know I was loved so much. Thank you all.
Yeah, you've had a big feedback on Facebook. I would
including people I don't know.
Including people you don't know. Yeah. Oh, whatever that is still on my chest. Right, guys. Obviously, keep your eyes open for videos. You never know when they're going to pop up. If I'm feeling in the mood, then I'll just film a rant or something. But as lives go, until next week, it's goodbye from Min.
And it's goodbye from me.
Whatever you're doing on this St. George's Day or the next one, stay safe, stay strong, and stay free. Respects, guys. Oh, where's the button gone again?